Merry Bowl season, everyone. I'm Brett Gibbons with TheLines.com, and today we're breaking down the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, College Football Playoff Semifinal between top-ranked Georgia and number 4 Ohio State. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the Lines YouTube channel as we're here breaking down all 41 bowl games, the College Football Playoff, the National Championship. We're doing it all this postseason. But the Peach Bowl, Georgia, a 6.5-point favorite over Ohio State. This one kicks Saturday, December 31st on New Year's Eve at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's on ESPN, over under 62.5 points. They play this one in Atlanta, so it's right in Georgia's backyard. They were afforded the choice of which semifinal site they want to play at. Of course, they're picking the one located in Atlanta, just an hour down the road. But unlike the other playoff semifinal game, we actually do have some personnel stuff to touch on to start. Ohio State's going to be without Trevion Henderson, their prolific running back. He's hurt. They shut him down. Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's also hurt. He opted out, I guess, due to injury, but he hadn't really played all season long. He had 5 receptions, 43 yards. He's not really, he doesn't change the calculus whether he plays or not just because he hasn't really played all year. So his absence is a big name, but it's not really that impactful, I don't think, on Ohio State's game plan here. They also did miss starting offensive lineman Matt Jones against Michigan. Keep an eye out on whether he plays or not because we'll get into the offensive line. But missing a starting offensive lineman is a serious problem against a team like Georgia. Also, running back Mayan Williams. I think this is actually the biggest deal on whether he plays or not. He was hurt against Michigan, and when he's not in the lineup, Ohio State's offense does not function the same. It functions significantly worse. So if Mayan Williams isn't playing, I don't expect this Ohio State offense to be able to move the ball that well or get into rhythm. But we're looking at Georgia. Wide receiver Ladd McConkey, he was injured in the SEC championship game, rather, and also starting offensive lineman Warren McClendon. He went down in the conference title game as well. Check to see how they're doing. It didn't look good for either one of them. I think McClendon was actually carted off, so I wouldn't expect them to play. However, there is a chance. But Georgia could be getting back A.D. Mitchell, a prolific, talented wide receiver that's been absent for most of the year. If he gets back, he could actually change the way, or at least fill the void left by Ladd McConkey here. If we're building cases for each team, the case for Ohio State, this line has not hit 7. I don't think it is going to. If it does, it's going to be extremely late before kickoff, and there's probably a good reason that they haven't moved it, just because there's not enough convincing sharp action on the line here, or enough data to say that Georgia warrants to be a 7-point favorite. So I think that is actually a check mark under the Ohio State column. They also have the most overall talent, I believe, among the 3 teams that are not Georgia. I think they're probably the best matchup for Georgia here in the first round. However, that is predicated on them playing their top football, which they're not always playing. I believe they have the highest offensive ceiling of any team in the country. You could probably, you're looking at maybe if TCU's firing on all cylinders that they could give them a run for the money. But in terms of the personnel and who they have, if they are absolutely playing, nails, they're probably the most capable offense in the country. Again, that's a lot of ifs there. They have a Heisman finalist quarterback, a first-round selection future at wide receiver, maybe even a Heisman finalist in himself there, or at least a Biletnikoff winner in Marvin Harrison Jr., and they also have an aggressive defense. So I think those are all the cases for Ohio State to cover this or even win the game here. Unfortunately, Georgia has a lot more bullet points under their case for. They're a more championship-ready team. There's absolutely no question, but I don't even think that's a debate. They're probably the most championship-ready team of any team in the country. That's why they're number 1. I trust their coaching staff entirely more. I like Kirby Smart a lot more than I like Ryan Day. I think their offensive coaching staff keeps their level-headedness a lot more, and we know what they can produce on defense. It's a list of who's who on that coaching staff there. Georgia, another elite defense, maybe not to the same levels that they had last year, but they haven't really missed much of a step. They still have dudes all over the place. Much improved offense, too, especially in efficiency. You'd be astonished at some of these numbers that we're going to go over here. Their offense is just terrific and has taken a huge step forward from last year. This is kind of just a dudes thing, but they're just bigger and badder than Ohio State. They're more physical. They're bigger. They played in kind of a more physical conference. So, when you're looking at just kind of man against man, I'm going to give the nod to Georgia here at most spots. They're favored for a reason, and they also have the biggest disadvantage, I believe, of anything all over the field. And that's tight end Brock Bowers against the Ohio State linebackers. Ohio State does not roster anybody that can keep up with Brock Bowers, I don't believe. Tommy Eichenberg, nice run stopper. He's fine in coverage. I don't think he has shut Brock Bowers down level. And they don't have a big enough safety, a big physical safety that can really disrupt him. So I think Bowers is probably going to have a pretty big afternoon here. When Georgia looked weak all this season, in the very, very few times that they did, specifically against Missouri, they were beaten at the line of scrimmage. And Ohio State, JT Tiamalu, he's a nice player, awesome player, very disruptive. We saw him emerge against Penn State. I'm not sure that just him or the defensive line as a whole is disruptive enough to control the line of scrimmage against Georgia. But ultimately, I just don't trust Ryan Day. How can you? He's atrocious play calling in big games. You saw it against Michigan. They were conservative. Against Oregon last year, they were also ultra conservative against Notre Dame. Just kind of anytime the spotlight is really big, Ryan Day's offensive game plan seems to go to conservative, try a bunch of flanker screens, not really throw the ball downfield. And when they do throw the ball downfield, it does work. The problem is they just don't dial up all that many vertical plays here. I also don't trust Jim Knowles on defense. He's aggressive. He's an excellent defensive coordinator. Definitely earns his money, but he made no halftime adjustments against Michigan. They were playing ultra aggressively and getting burned through the air deep, and he didn't adjust. He just kept letting them, I understand stepping into the game and saying, okay, J.J. McCarthy beat us. But then he beat them, and they didn't make any adjustments. So I think Stetson Bennett is more than capable of doing the same exact thing here. Also, C.J. Stroud, excellent quarterback. He cannot make a play that's not on script. As soon as he gets pressured or goes off script, it's kind of over for him. And if you look, his completion percentage goes from over 70 to under 50 when he's being pressured. So it's a huge deal. And against Georgia's defensive line, he is going to be seeing pressure. Marvin Harrison Jr., awesome crutch, throw it up to him. He'll make the catch. Probably top 3 contested catch guy in the country. I'm sorry. And against Georgia's secondary, he does have an advantage. Georgia's secondary is good. It's very good, but it's probably the weakest unit of their defensive group. So if you're going to attack anything, probably going after their secondary there. We've seen teams have success on that. LSU scored 30 in the SEC championship game. However, Georgia's still a top 25 coverage graded team per PFF, and they're top 20 in EPA per pass. If you look at numbers for Ohio State's offensive line, they grade out well. I don't think they're nearly as good as numbers say. If you watch them play, they're fine. They're okay. They're not world beating. I know we're talking Paris Johnson Jr. at tackle, maybe a top 5 overall pick, and he's perfectly serviceable. But again, they allow pressure to CJ Stroud, and when Stroud gets pressured, he doesn't play very well. So if you're going to take Ohio State in this one, just take the money line. I don't believe that there's a situation in which they lose close by 3. I believe it's going to be they win or they don't come anywhere near. But I worry that this Georgia offense kind of shapes out like the Michigan game. Stetson Bennett can absolutely kill them through the air in the first half. Georgia's number 1 in passing success rate in the country of any team, number 1 in passing success rate. Stetson Bennett shows that when he picks his spots, and he's come a long way since last year as well, when he picks his spots, he's extremely effective. And then Georgia can then revert to the ground game to blow things open in the second half. It's kind of a similar blueprint to what we saw against Michigan. Georgia's built very similarly, especially on offense. I think we can see a repeat of that as well. But the bets I'm looking at, I'm actually going to take under Ohio State's team total of 27.5. If we can get a 28, that'd be terrific because that's 4-round scores. It's a pretty key figure when you're talking team totals. I don't really think Ohio State's going to score all that much because CJ Stroud's going to be under pressure a lot. And when he's under pressure, he doesn't play very well. And again, Ryan Day in big games does not coach ultra aggressively. He's too conservative, and I don't think that Ohio State's going to score. You can't do that against this Georgia defense. You can also look at a Georgia second half bet live, maybe if Ohio State keeps it a little closer, but it's closer than maybe it really should be. You could probably bet Georgia second half live. If I'm leaning on the point spread, I'm leaning Georgia as long as it's under -7. But the line not moving makes me pretty hesitant on that. We might see it bump to 7 really late in the game. I don't think it's going to go the other way. It'll probably only move in Georgia's favor. And really the only way that Georgia doesn't cover this game is by letting Ohio State hang around. And then late in the game, Ohio State can move the ball down the field, sneak out of cover or win. But that's really the only way I can see that Georgia not covering 6.5. I really do think Georgia controls this game. They're the better team. They're the better coach team, and they're championship ready. But hop on over to our Discord server where you can connect with over 4,000 sports betting fans and get live updates in our college football server. If you go over and click on the hashtag rolls and drop an emoji under my name, you'll start to get bowl bets as I make them all December long into January, all bowl season long. Because when I make a bet, I'm putting it in the Discord. You can also get information on transfers, injuries, opt-outs, coaching changes, and a lot of really good sports betting information that's crowdsourced from a lot of really smart people that are in there. This community is just terrific, and it's really active this time of year. But don't forget to subscribe to Line's YouTube channel for daily bowl videos just like this one, and comment what side you lean in this game. Are you going Ohio State with the upset? Is it 2014 all over again, or is Georgia going to be just too much, too talented, too well coached, and win this game comfortably? Let me know in the comments, or let me know on Twitter at Road to CFB. But thank you so much as always for watching. I'm Brett Gibbons, and have a very merry bowl season.